All right. Sorry about our technical difficulties. I'm going to try a hot spot because our internet has been a little bit sketchy this morning. Hopefully, this will work for us, Coach. Keep cutting out our connection, but I'm going to try a hot spot, see how that works for us this morning.
Okay. Gave me a little time to catch up with Coach lingering over here.
Yeah.
You feel like we're good now?
I think we're good.
You know, we were talking about Napoleon sitting at fourth in Division 4, Region 14. And there's some games left to shake out and stuff. And Shelby it appears, is kind of the class of that region right now. And then Lima Bath, Galleon, we're finding out it's good. But interesting, Clyde sitting in the 12th spot, okay, is 2-5.
Yeah.
And but they got a big win last night over Edison. You know, there's a lot of points involved with that one. And then it beat a 4-win Port Clinton team. So 2 wins has them in the playoff picture.
Yeah.
And, and Clyde's a team. I don't care what they end up. If they slip in there, you don't want to play Clyde.
No.
You know,
right.
And so
for sure. Always a tough program. And folks out there, Jay and Kenny and Patriot Publisher, please let us know if our sound is good. I'm going to try a different connection because I don't trust the internet here today. It's cut out a couple times on me. It's not even working on my phone either, so I know there's something going on.
Well, I'm glad you're the tech guy, Lynn, because I panic, and you're like a veteran quarterback. You're pretty cool under pressure. And I just scurry away and leave it to you, and I go talk to these guys. But we'll see. Hopefully, it holds.
Your sister's watching. Tracy says we're all good.
Okay,
thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, she's about as loyal as they come. 2 things my sister Tracy Army loves: Rise and Rewind, and the Grandma American Freedom Energy Friday tailgates.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yes. She's like there's bar flies. She's like a fly here at those tailgates. She loves it, but we love her.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, my cell service here in Liberty Center works a lot better than it did a couple years ago, or we would be struggling to get on the air because a couple years ago my signal was not good, but they put in that new tower out here, and I'm good now.
Yeah, that new tower's nice, causing all kinds of problems, probably for people that we won't know about for 15 years.
Probably.
We've got a signal this morning, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yep. Live in the moment.
Yeah. Can't have internet. You need a cell service of some kind. Yeah. Also in the NLL Cardinal Division last night, Fremont Ross 21, Southview 13. I have no stats from that matchup, but a nice win for the Little Giants to knock off Southview in that one.
It is, and I think sometimes we get so caught up in comparing scores and thinking, well, if this team's really good, then they should beat this team by 30. And this has that feel like Fremont Ross preseason pick to win the Cardinal. You think, okay, Napoleon rolled Southview a week ago. Fremont Ross, if they're a contender, should beat them about 42-7-ish. It's 21-13. What do you make of that? You don't get style points, right?
Right.
So did Southview play better? And as fans, as neutral observers, I think you're allowed to think those things and ask those questions. It's natural. But I look at that and I go, you know what? I really like Napoleon at Fremont Ross based on that, which will get you in trouble basing it on those things.
Yeah. The Armies are headed to South Bend today, the way it sounds, Tracy said.
Okay. Scott loves his Irish.
Yeah.
Ever been to a game at Notre Dame, Lynn?
I have not.
The bar none, friendliest, most cordial, uplifting, enlightening game day atmosphere you'll ever go to. It's unbelievable. And I'm no Irish fan. I love their tradition, but no fan of the Irish. You go there and you can be the biggest enemy in the world, and they will shake your hand and say, welcome to Notre Dame. And it's unbelievable.
Nice. Yeah, that is great to hear. Move it over to the Northern Lakes League Buckeye Division, and Clay with a 28-14 victory at Schaller Stadium last night over Anthony Wayne. Clay claimed its first win over a team with a winning record this season. Bryce Bestgrove, 19 carries, 86 yards, scored on 2 short runs for the Eagles, while Colin Greenwald And Landon Eckelberry also had short scoring runs for Clay in that one. AW now 4-3, 0-2 in the Buckeye division, had 264 yards in the loss. Clay now over the 500 mark, 4-3 and 1-1 in the Buckeye division. And if you saw some video or highlights of that one, the Clay kids were pretty excited about that victory. That's a signature win for them.
Oh, signature win for those kids. Again, a lot of youth. We saw them earlier, a lot of really good sophomores. So, again, I know we have 3 weeks left, but we can start looking at playoffs. Division II, Region 6, Anthony Wayne, who lost last night.
They were, I think, 4th last week.
And they're sitting at 5th.
Oh, didn't drop them much.
No, didn't drop them much. Now they're in 5th. More than a point ahead of the 6th place team.
Okay.
Clay, big win for Clay. I mean, I think Coach Pennington probably a week or two ago wasn't even thinking playoffs, just getting better and building this program. But with that win, Clay's now 10th, okay, and they have Perrysburg, Whitmer back to back. If they can steal one of those, I don't know if they can, but if they could, they're going to wind up in the postseason because they have Northview Week 10, which they'll get. If they can win 2 of their next 3, I think Clay is playing in the postseason, and that would be a big building block for that program.
For sure would. A nice win last night to double up the Generals on the road. Perrysburg also with a nice win in the Buckeye division, 14-10 over Findlay in a tight one. The Jackets claimed a defensive battle with the Trojans. Perrysburg now 6-1, 2-0 in the Buckeye. The Trojans 5-2, 1-1. Findlay actually outgained Perrysburg 13 to 230. Ethan DeVries caught a 20-yard touchdown from Brady Maxwell, who also had a 1-yard TD plunge for the lone Perrysburg points. Miles Bailey was 15 to 23 passing, 221 yards and a score for Findlay, but Perrysburg with a big win and stay undefeated in the Buckeye portion of the schedule.
I think one thing we've learned, Lynn, through 7 weeks, Findlay's formidable.
Yeah.
Findlay's a legitimate football team. That Clay team that beat Anthony Wayne last night, a week ago, or I'm sorry, Findlay beat the team that beat AW last night 35-0.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to say. So, and then Anthony Wayne has Findlay left and has Perrysburg left, 2 of the last 3. So, Generals it's sitting at 4-3 right now. Could we see a season where Anthony Wayne ends up 5-5?
Possibility, the way it's looking right now.
It is a possibility, and so we'll see what that does to their playoff hopes. But good for Findlay. That's impressive. I mean, there's no moral victories, but boy.
Yeah. Played tough at Perrysburg last time. A good friend, Jeff Schliessman, was there. You never know where Jeff Schliessman's going to be. You know it's going to be a top game, and he was in Perrysburg last night for that.
Yeah, he doesn't watch. He's not going to watch a couple of muddling programs.
No, you're right.
You know, he goes to the big one. That's where I first met Jeff Schliessman in Perrysburg's basketball gym.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
He knows his way around there.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Rounding out the Buckeye division last night, Whitmer, no problem with Northview, 52-10. Whitmer now is 18-2 against the Wildcats. Whitmer devastated the host with 349 yards rushing on only 26 attempts while adding 227 yards rushing. Jamon Holmes and Joey Morales, big again for Whitmer. Holmes, 7 carries, 152 yards, 2 TDs. Morales, 7 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns himself. Brandon Waddell, 70 yards, 1 touchdown on 4 receptions, and Carter Bourne was 14 of 17 through the air, 171 yards and 2 TDs. As no surprise there, as Whitmer just poured it on Northview.
Yeah, not much to say there, but we'll look ahead. Whitmer has Findlay this week. Could be interesting. And then at Clay, home with Perrysburg. So, boy, when the Buckeye division teams get in the meat of their division schedule, it's like every week's a heavyweight matchup, to be quite honest with you, for the most part. So we'll see if Whitmer can hold serve there.
Western Buckeye League, there was a big one in Shawnee Township, but it was all Walpock, 42-14 over the Indians. They coasted in a clash of unbeaten WBL programs. The Redskins have now won 23 straight WBL games and are 7-0 overall and 6-0 in the Western Buckeye League. Shawnee lost for the first time since week 1 when they fell to LCC. Shawnee 5-2, 5-1 in the WBL. It was his longest winning streak of 5 since 2009. The Indians came in allowing just 15.7 points per game. I don't have any stats from that one, but Wapak, no problem. I'm sure Caleb Moyer and Caden Page and crew had a pretty good night if they put up 42.
Yeah, and so Wapak's sitting at number 2 in Division III, Region 10. Medina Buckeyes number 1. Shawnee sitting at 6th. But here's the thing about the WBL, which makes that league a cut above most. Shawnee's sitting there at 5-2, but they're staring at St. Mary's on the road this week. That's no gimme. And then they host Van Wert week 9. That's no gimme. And so you cannot let your guard down in that league. And then Ottawa Glandorf week 10, I'm telling you right now, that'll be a handful. So Shawnee's still got some work to do.
Yeah, yes, they do. Bath knocked off Ottawa Glandorf 35-17 to move to 6-1 overall, 5-1 in the WBL. I don't have any, didn't get any stats from that one either, but Bath with the victory on the road at OG. Defiance and Kenton, boy, they played a good one last night down in Kenton. Overtime game. Defiance ended their 4-game losing skid after blowing leads of 28-7 and 35-21 in the second half. Kenton took a 42-35 lead in overtime before Kelton Gibbs recorded his 5th touchdown of the night on a touchdown toss from Colt Ward. And then the Bulldogs converted the 2-point try for the victory. Gibbs, huge night for Defiance, 215 yards rushing and 4 first-half touchdown forays. Jordan Wright had 3 picks in the victory, which I think that tied a school record for Defiance.
Defiance just needed a win in any way, shape, or form. And that's one of those games where you go on the road and, you know, Tyler Swery, Napoleon's coach, was my defensive coordinator for about 7 years. And there were certain weeks he would say, after watching film, he would say, listen, I'd hate to say this, but we're going to need to score 4 or 5 touchdowns to win this week. And some weeks he'd ask me, hey, how many do you think we can get? I say, well, I think we can score 28. Okay, I think we're going to need maybe 35. This game is one of those where you know that 2-3 touchdowns isn't going to win it against Kenton. So I know you might say, well, where's the defense? Well, you know what? There's some opponents that are like that. It's like playing Eden. You're going to have to outscore them. Because they're going to score. So Defiance found a way.
Louis Miller is leaving the building, folks.
He's looking good, though. Coach Lingern's looking good, too. Yeah. So there's
Coach Lindgren even wearing some black swamp gear this morning.
He
looks good
is.
in that. That's probably why he looks good. He's wearing our garb.
I wonder if he even knows it says Black Swamp on the back.
I don't know. He says he can't hear us, but you know he can.
He can.
And I got here before you a little bit. The tongue lashing from Coach Lindgren came out this week.
But you weren't here that long before me.
I barely,
in that short amount of time.
I barely got in the door, and I heard it from Coach Lindgren this morning. I was kind of missing the big fella.
See you, Coach.
Was kind of missing it.
Well, he made up for it then today.
I know. We probably have several more weeks.
I think we do.
Liberty Center can make a run like we're expecting to. We may be here
when does
a couple
Coach,
more months.
When does Coach go down to Florida? Probably after the state
Not
finals.
soon enough.
Yeah.
Not soon enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true. They probably miss him down there, though.
Oh,
he's got another group of
Does anybody
friends.
miss that guy?
I think they do in a weird way. In a weird way. He's always down. Now, up here this time of year, Coach Lingern's, he's golfing, 3-4 days a week. They already have it planned for next week. They're golfing Monday, Thursday. But
They're golfing Thursday next week?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know that those old guys are going to be able to handle the weather on Thursday. It's going to be pretty chilly.
I know it is.
They should be golfing today and tomorrow and Monday.
I know. They rarely do weekends. They're kind of funny. But, they're going to Ironwood on
Rex is going back to Ironwood after the debacle.
Well, I told him, I said, those guys might be waiting for you, buddy. And he didn't seem phased. And then they're going to Moose Landing over in Kalida on Thursday.
Okay.
But, you never know with those guys.
Yeah, but a nice win there for Defiance last night. Where are the Bulldogs at in the Region
Yep.
10 standings, Coach.
I have it pulled up there. They are 16th.
16th. Okay.
16th, and if you look at their schedule, there's some points available with Elida coming up, and then Bath week 9. That would be the one they'd need to steal,
right,
to make a jump.
Where's Central Catholic in that region as well? They pick up the win over St. John's last night. They were, I think, in the 11-12 range a week ago.
Yep, good question. They are sitting in the 9
spot. Didn't bump them up a whole lot then.
Not a whole lot.
Okay. Yeah.
Orchard Lake St. Mary's coming up, and then St. Francis.
Okay.
Both with 4 wins currently.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Central Catholic finishes.
I know.
In that region.
Well, I guarantee
they're going to be the favorite no matter where they're at.
They'll be the favorite, and I'm telling you, there are some other teams in that.
If you're Wapak, do you want to get Central Catholic at your place?
If you got to get them,
yeah, probably.
But there's coaches in that region looking at the points, doing some tallying, going, when are we going to see these guys?
Trying to figure out how to avoid them, right?
Yeah. And I think Medina Buckeyes pretty doggone good, to be honest with you, sitting there in the number 1 spot. But outside of them in Wapak, I Toledo Central Catholic's going to be a handful.
Yeah, yep. I think they're still the favorite big time in that region, no matter how the regular season plays out here. A lot of Notre Dame talk on our chat this morning, Coach. I don't know if I can take this. I'm going to have to turn away.
There?
Now Robert Bailey's chiming in. Go Irish. Aren't they 2-2? Aren't the Irish 2-2?
Yeah. Underachieve.
Yeah.
Always seem to. But I've got a lot of Irish friends, a lot of Notre Dame friends.
I do too, and I don't mind them.
I don't mind them. They're good people. I love their tradition. I love Notre Dame's
they have Boise
tradition.
State today.
Boise,
is that correct?
I think so.
Apply the sunscreen, Army family.
Oh, Scott, if you've ever seen, he lathers up that bald head of his. I mean, he lathers it up.
Does he?
Yeah.
He better today, or he's gonna come back.
He will
with a pretty.
Scott primps quite a bit.
Does he?
Yes.
He probably should wear a hat today.
I
bet
he will.
You out, Scott.
I bet he will. I bet he will. Scott.
Tracy,
will.
I'm sure Tracy helps him out though. I don't think we really probably.
I think it's the other way around.
Oh, is it?
Scott calls the shots in that
Does
family.
He?
Oh God, yeah.
Does he?
Yeah,
okay.
He calls the shots.
Couple more. Go ahead.
Although he's gotten softer.
Has he?
As he's gotten older. Actually, no, I take that back. I'll tell you who calls the shots in that family is my niece Peyton.
Oh, yeah. I would, yeah.
She calls the shots. Everybody else just falls in.
Yeah, I would agree with that, knowing her a little bit. A couple more games in the Western Buckeye League to recap last night. Another good one here at St. Mary's. St. Mary's 42, Van Wert 35. The Rough Riders stopped a Van Wert pass inside the 5 on the final play to preserve a thrilling victory over the Cougars, who have lost 4 of their 5 by a possession or less this season.
Oh man, gosh, how could that league? It's like the MAC. There's so much
3 of 4.
parity.
I'm sorry, 3 of the 4 losses are by a possession or less.
Parity.
Yeah,
it's just. I mean, you can flip a coin most weeks in that league.
Yeah, if you liked offense, St. Mary's was the place to be. They combined for 860 yards. Did the two teams? Van Wert posted 450. St. Mary's posted 410. The Rough Riders totaled 398 yards rushing on 60 attempts, threw it just once, and the Cougars had 461 yards passing, but had to have lost some yards in the rushing game if they ended up with 450 in that one. Caleb Schmidt, did you see his night? 42 totes, 315 yards, and hit pay dirt half a dozen times for St. Mary's. Zach Crummy was 27 of 40, 461 yards for Van Wert. Quartet of touchdowns to lead the Cougars. Micah Cohen made 17 catches on 21 targets for 330 yards and a touchdown as well for Van Wert. Keaton Welch had 3 receiving touchdowns on 4 catches as those two teams lit up the scoreboard last night. St. Mary's now 4-3 overall, 4-2 in the Western Buckeye League. Van Wert 3-4, 2-4 in the WBL now. But boy, what a game that was. Expected the offense to come the way it did with Van Wert throwing it and St. Mary's running it.
Yeah, that's Tremendous. We talked about a lot of teams don't want to see Central Catholic. I'll tell you right now in Division 4, Region 14, which is Napoleon and Bath, and those guys, Van Wert sitting at 10th. You don't want to draw Van Wert out of the gate. You just don't. There's about 5 other teams I'd rather play than Van Wert. I'm telling you.
Battle tested, man.
Oh, gosh.
Jeez. And they can put up the points. Now, will they play defense is another story. They've given up some points this season, have the Cougars, but that they're dangerous. Zach Crummy and crew. Oh man.
They are. They just are. They can beat anybody on any given night. And they've got, they still have Shawnee left to play. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if a team like a Van Wert knocks off Shawnee.
Yeah. Yeah. Van Wert played Wapak pretty close, I believe, a couple weeks ago. Was that just last week?
2 weeks ago. Well, last week.
Yeah.
Yep. 42-28.
Yeah.
I
think that was the most points that Wapak has given up in their WBL winning streak was those 28.
I believe it. So Van Wert tightens up the defense a little bit. Yeah. They're going to be a handful if they can get in.
Yeah. Yeah. And St. Mary's, not much fun to prepare against either for that. Skip Boffman wing tee that they've ran for seems like decades. Well, it has been decades.
It has. And it's a unique. It's like what Liberty Center does and Whiteford last night, and Delta went. Any Mike Vickers coach team, it's you got to be committed to it. And the funny thing about that is, there's a lot of kids in this modern day and parents and fans that say that would be boring. Unless you're the guy carrying the ball, that would be boring. Well, Woody Hayes used to say winning's never boring. When people would say 3 yards in a cloud of dust is boring, winning is never boring. And those coaches that run those systems effectively get those kids to believe it's the greatest system ever.
Yeah.
And it's all about buy-in. And if you're not convinced yourself as a coach, the kids aren't going to buy into it. So these coaches truly believe it. Kids buy in. It's a badge of honor being the physical team. And you can hang your hat on that.
Yeah. Coach Austin Nichols is checking in from Stryker this morning. He says, let's go Panthers.
Good morning, Coach, and good luck to you and the Panthers the rest of the year. Appreciate you listening.
Tracy said Scott officiated that St. Mary's Van Wert game last night.
Okay.
So he let him play.
He let
Must
him
not call many holding penalties in that one because they put up the yards.
I'll tell you what, he's probably a little sore this morning then, because there'll be some running
around. He's got that knee brace on these days, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't wear it, but yeah, he does. He wears that knee brace. It's
why wouldn't you wear it?
Because it's a sign of weakness to me. And but he's getting up there. He's a lot older than me now.
Oh, Scott's older than you even?
Yeah. He's got me by a bunch, but he's got a good officiating crew. I'm not a big fan of officials in general, although I have a lot of official friends. But Scott's crew's a good crew, man. Good crew.
Did you always say that, though, when you were on the sidelines?
What? Say what?
About Scott's crew when you were still coaching. Did you say that or not?
See, Scott and his crew always did my scrimmages.
Okay.
Because Scott's an ethical man. He would never take a Napoleon game when I was coaching. And I've coached in some games, Lynn, and I won't go down this rabbit hole, but I've coached in some games where the officiating crew I knew was connected or tied to the opposing team in some way, shape, or form. And that always lit my fuse, man, because I compared everybody to Scott. And I'm like, ethically, you don't take that game. I don't care if it's shirt tail connection. It just casts a little bit of doubt, even if there is none, it does. And so Scott always, from an ethical standpoint, would never take a game where he has any type of connection. I always respected that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Been interesting to see if he would have officiated one of your games.
I don't think he'd have done me any favors. He wouldn't have hurt
called
me.
It even Steven, but
he would have called it even Steven. And the thing is too, I know everybody on his crew. They're personal friends of mine. So I will admit this. Sometimes when you know somebody real well, you tend to ride them a little harder. And so I'm glad they never did, because it might have stained some of my friendships.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good point.
So
Northwest Conference a night ago, Columbus Grove, no problem with Fort Loramie, 34-0 Bulldogs on the road. And that one is Columbus Grove won its 4th straight by blanking Fort Loramie. The Bulldogs now 4-3, 4-0, and the NWC outgained Fort Loramie 340 to 174. Gavin Baxter caught 4 passes for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns from Landon Best. Trevin Baxter added 7 snags for 84 yards as Columbus Grove is rolling going into the final 3 weeks of the season. Still have Bluffton, still have LCC, and who's their other conference?
The next game is Crestview.
Crestview. Did Crestview beat Bluffton last night?
No.
Where'd that game end up?
Great question.
Good friend.
Crestview lost 49-34.
Okay. I know our good friend Kenny Stabler, I think, was on the call that, and he was giving us some updates as the night went on. And I didn't, once I got home, I didn't look up a final score.
Yeah, Bluffton, they had to outscore them,
Mhm.
and you might think, well, they gave up 34. Well, Braxton Leith from Crestview.
Well, he had like 250 at half,
Yeah.
I think.
He did. And Columbus Grove, talking about Grove, we got a lot of good friends down there, sitting at 18th.
18th.
Sitting at 18th. Need to obviously get to 12. But here's the good news. They've got a 5-win Crestview, a 7-0 Lima Central Catholic, and a 6-1 Bluffton team. Beaucoup points out there available, but that's a tough 3-game stretch.
Yeah. Well, they have to win 2 of those.
Have to win 2, I think, without doing the math.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe our Columbus Grove friends can update us. If Ned Steckschuld's up, I'm sure he's tallied up the numbers and knows. He might be out combining beans or something though this morning.
He might
farming
be.
time of year.
But you look at that schedule, and we've talked about it at length, but you open up with Pandora, Gilboa, Liberty Benton,
Mhm.
Patrick Henry, and then you close out with Crestview with one of the best running backs in the state in that division,
Yeah.
LCC undefeated, and Bluffton. I mean, that's 6 games that are just uber challenging. And
Yeah.
but Grove has been building. They've been building, and you knew they would.
Yep.
And so it's a big one this week with Crestview. And then if you can get that done, you can worry about the last 2.
Toledo Area Athletic Conference from a night ago. Going to start from our game up in Ottawa Lake, Michigan, where Whiteford knocked off Eden 60-36. Whiteford put on a rushing exhibition with 471 yards on the ground on just 32 attempts. Went to a super clock in the late stages of the third quarter with Whiteford up. I think they were up 31 at that point, and it was already about 10 o'clock in the evening with all the throwing that Eden does. But Whiteford picks up the win. Breck Ruddy powered the Bobcat stable of runners with 153 yards and 2 scores on only 8 rushes, while St. Francis transfer Rocco Pillarelli added 116 yards and 2 scores on 8 lugs in his Whiteford debut. Drew Ruddy also had a huge night with 3 carries, totaling 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. Elijah Vance chipped in 62 yards rushing late in the game. Trey Eitner was 2 of 2 passing, 94 yards, including a 73-yard double reverse pass to Drew Ruddy on the first play of the game for Whiteford. Briggs Galliu threw for 358 yards in the setback, with 11 completions going to Kendall Briggle for 169 yards and 1 score. Whiteford first possession, 1 play. Didn't see the ball for seemed like an eternity after that because Eden had that. They scored, and then they kicked one right off an up guy for Whiteford, recovered it, and got it to maybe the 18, 15-yard line before Whiteford turned them away, and that was kind of the turning point for that Whiteford defense.
Yeah, it was what an unusual game. A lot of twists and turns.
And then I think Whiteford scored in 2 or 3 plays.
Yep.
Next possession, maybe 4 plays. You don't think a team like that, a rushing team, is going to score that quickly. You think kind of time-consuming drives with that rushing attack, but geez, those Ruddy boys and Rocco Pillarelli, it doesn't take much for them to get loose.
I'd like to see the drive charts. What was their longest drive? I mean, did they have a 5-6 play drive or not even that much?
Maybe in the second half they did, I guess, but the others were explosive.
Yeah, they took one on the chin a year ago at Eden, and you could tell they had a little chip.
Right.
And boy, they got it done. I give Briggs Gallahue a lot of credit for Eden, Lynn. He was
gimpy ankle.
Yeah, and I thought he was gutsy. I really did. He was gutsy, and I've said it the last couple of weeks. I love Kendall Briggle. He's one of my favorite receivers in this area. He's a gamer, but Eden's just maybe a little thin and in some spots in the trenches, maybe. But Whiteford, it doesn't matter. They're going to roll everybody in that conference. And honestly, based on what I saw last night, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, well, yeah, those guys are back.
Eitner and Breck Ruddy back.
Breck Ruddy are back. Yeah,
I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, Whiteford came in ranked 9th in Division 7 in Michigan's AP poll a night ago. We're one of 3 teams in the entire state of Michigan that were averaging 50 or more points. 50.2, and they may now be number 1 with that 60-point game a night ago. I'm trying to find the other 2 teams that they were behind. I don't know that I have that note with me here this morning, but boy, Whiteford is something else with that rushing attack. How are you defending that?
Boy, I think you gotta pick your poison. You've got to try to make them one-dimensional. Good luck with that, but you've just got to load up the box. You do. And anytime you play a wing T team, you're always cognizant of the belly pass, where they dump it to the flat to the fullback, or the waggle bootleg pass. And so but if they get you with that, they get you with that. You've just got to load it up, and then you've got to bring run blitzes. You just absolutely do. And then even if you do everything right schematically, getting those guys on the ground is another thing. So if you have one guy out of position, there was one time on one of Pillarelli's touchdown runs, Lynn, 2 Eden defenders untouched on the edge, and it was a perimeter run, and it looked like they were going to get him, and he just raced them. He outran them. And so, but if you get too wide to take away the sweep, then they're just going to run it up inside of you. So you've got to roll the dice and take some chances. If you just play your base defense against Whiteford, and you're not an elite team with big, strong, fast guys, you're going to get killed. And so you might as well take your chances and get killed that way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll see where Whiteford ends up in the state championship picture. I think they're in that discussion.
Yeah.
They lost to Harbor Beach, who is a Division 8 team, for their only loss earlier in the season up in the thumb of Michigan. I know Coach Teakin wanted to kind of test themselves, and they make the long trip to Harbor Beach, but that's a good program up there in the thumb of Michigan. But chance to get to Ford Field, I would think, for this Whiteford team.
So I watched both times Coach Teakin coached in a state championship. The first time they won, and the second time they lost to actually the same opponent. And so I remember those teams, and I look at last night's team. They look a little different up front than they did in those 2 state championship appearances, but they're more loaded at the running back positions. Yeah. I think Whiteford has a chance to make a run.
I do too. Yeah. There was a Ruddy that played on their state championship team. I know, talking to Tommy Eitner at the end of that game last night, the former Swanton quarterback, who's now an assistant for Whiteford.
Yep.
Long line of Ruddy boys that have came through the Whiteford program.
And I'm telling you, there's been some great families that we've seen, right? But the Ruddys, and if you're a local fan here, you might go, never heard of it. Well, yeah, that's understandable, but they're different. I mean, they are, oh my. I can't imagine like a pickup game when those kids were young with the Ruddy boys. And, oh, man.
I'll throw this out there for you. Hot take. Could you throw an all-star team together from the rest of the TAC this season and beat this Whiteford team?
Easy answer for me. Easy answer. And I know sometimes you can be a prisoner of the moment, right? Because we just saw Whiteford and we were in awe.
But adding Rocco to the mix?
There's no chance. You could take an all-star team from the rest of the TAC and you'd see what we saw last night. I'm just telling you, it's crazy.
I mean, they're going to super clock everybody.
They are. They absolutely are. It doesn't. You could. Yeah. No, they roll against an all-star team.
They may have the 5 best players in the conference.
Yeah. Yep. There's no doubt about it. Folks, we're not overstating it. If you see Breck Ruddy, and I don't even want to name names because they're all interchangeable, you wouldn't believe it. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. Even like a Liberty Center, I would love to see Ruddy and Pillarelli and the other Ruddy run against a Liberty Center type defense.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
It would be.
I don't know if Whiteford could hold up
right
man on man in the trenches with them.
Yes.
But if those backs got a crease, they could maybe do something. But they're not going to see anybody like Liberty Center for a while.
Yeah. So polished with that running game, and Trey Eitner, great ball handler. You have to be in that.
Yeah.
They run it.
And they run a sweep. We won't get into all of it, but they're so condensed, as we said last night. Everything is so close together. The fullback's 1 yard behind the quarterback. I mean, the fullback, when he's in his 3-point stance, is almost touching the quarterback, and they always motion a guy. When they run their toss sweep to the fullback, it's almost a handoff. They're like a foot away from each other, and they just toss it to them. And the one thing you can tell, they're so well coached. Whether they're running a sweep, which you think a sweep's an outside play, which it's not. It can be, but it's not typically designed that way. And you think that what shows they're really well coached is they get downhill and get up into the line of scrimmage so fast that the linemen don't have to hold their blocks for more than a second, literally, because the back is right there. And some of these zone teams that are handing it off 5-6 yards deep in the backfield, the offensive line, I mean, they gotta wall off the defense for 2-3 seconds, as the running back and quarterback mesh and read. I like how Whiteford does it, quick hitter, so you don't have to be great up front to run that offense. Yeah. And so I see now Eric Keller, when he took over at Swanton a few years back, he was trying to get that program going again. He's a Swanton alum, and he was basically running that offense, a very similar version of that offense. He's a good friend of Coach Teakins too.
He was probably at the game. Coach Fisher was there last night, and
Coach Keller was with his wife.
Did you see him? I
down
didn't
in
see
the
him.
corner.
Okay.
I did.
Okay,
I did.
See him.
Had my binoculars on, and I saw Coach Teakin go give him a hug before the game. So, Eric Keller was trying to do that. And I watched them play Patrick Henry, and they played him tough for a half. It wasn't real glamorous. Swanton wasn't really moving the sticks, but they were moving the clock. They were punting the football, playing as good a defense as they could, and they weren't getting running clocked, by halftime, so to speak. And I think there's so many coaches, I've said this probably too many times, that think, okay, we need to spread it out and throw it all around the yard. That's how you get beat 65-0 as opposed to 42-0. And you may think that's not a big deal. Well,
it's a start.
It's a start, and your psyche then is a little bit different. You lose a game 35-7, it's different than getting beat 65-0. So I think more young coaches would benefit from looking at something like Whiteford does, because again, you don't have to be great up front. All you got to do, one of my old Liberty coaches, Tim Speece, used to say the best block is just getting in someone's way. Now it's all about pancakes, right? And driving them in the ground and laying on them. Get in their way and let the backs, who are your skill guys, make a move. That's all you got to do, is get in their way. But it's got to hit quick. They got to be quick hitters.
They even have a play where Trey Eitner will pivot and lead the Ruddy, I think it was Breck, a couple times through the hole as the lead blocker.
Yeah, he'd toss it to him, and before it happened so fast, you didn't know if Eitner had the ball or if he gave it up, and then leads right up through there. So now you got a wing back folding up in there. You have a guard pulling, and then you have a quarterback, which is a bonus guy. And Eitner's built for that. I mean, he could be a running back. If he wasn't a quarterback, he'd be a wing or a fullback in that offense.
Yeah.
And would have had 250 last night.
Yeah. And when they do throw it, their receivers are usually wide open because they've set it up with that running game. And Trey is such a magician with that football in his hands. And no surprise there with knowing his dad, Tommy. Tommy was one of the all-time greats. I know there are people who's Tommy Eitner? Well, he was one of the all-time greats in the NWL.
one of the all-time greats. He really was. Played there in the late 80s, early 90s. So he was a senior my freshman year, which would have been 89. So he didn't play into the 90s. 89 would have been class of 90. But David Hansberger, great coach at Swanton. Tommy Eitner, and here's the best part. He was super fast before quarterbacks ran the ball. So in a modern day offense, Tom Eitner's arm with his speed would have been absolute. He'd have been like Caleb Moyer down at Wapakoneta. He was unbelievable. And the best part about Tommy Eitner is you wouldn't know it talking to him. The most humble, the most humble, unassuming guy you'll ever meet. I love him.
Yeah. I know that guys that have played against him, and they've said, I never went up against a quarterback that threw the ball so hard.
You couldn't, and he threw it hard. And where he was great, I remember this so well, playing at Swanton my freshman year. Tommy was a senior. He rolled to his left. He had a receiver named Scotty Butler, I believe it was, and he ran a deep corner route, like a deep, deep flag. And Tommy's rolling to his left, and the route was to the left, okay? He's rolling to his left and throws it about 50 yards in the air, rolling to his left, right-handed, and just a dime that dropped down in his belly and made it look easy. He was number 14, I believe.
Okay.
Tommy, if you're listening, I think he was number 14.
I know Coach Teakin usually is watching and listening to us, so chime in if he can help us out there if you remember correctly. But I would urge you to go see this Whiteford team play. If you got nothing better to do on a Friday night and don't want to, you can go to a game here in Ohio because they have a couple TAC games left. I don't know their last three and who they play in the TAC, if any of those are down here in the Buckeye State. I believe there's a couple maybe.
I can tell you here in a second.
Extra work to get to.
Yeah, let me. All I got to do is find Eden there, and then that'll get me Whiteford. They're home with Erie Mason. Ooh, Erie Mason limps in there at 0-5. What's Whiteford going to do to them?
Name their score.
Good Lord, name their score. At Summerfield, Michigan, and then they host Ottawa Hills.
Okay.
Week 10.
Okay.
But if you're a guy or a gal that says, I want 5 wide, I want the ball in the air, it's boring watching teams run the ball, they're not for you.
No.
But if you like precision, timing, spacing, execution, and dynamic athletes, you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Also in the TAC last night, Montpelier with a 36-18 victory over Ottawa Hills. Hayden Sharps combined for 248 yards and accounted for 3 touchdowns to power Montpelier, who is now 4-3, 3-1 in the TAC. He threw for 172 in his score, added 76 yards rushing and another touchdown. Griff Cooley and Carter Meek also tallied rushing touchdowns for Montpelier, which led 21-0 before Ottawa Hills closed the gap to 21-12 in the third quarter. The Green Bears now 2-5, 1-3 in the TAC. Also in the TAC last night, Hilltop with a 30-27 victory over Summerfield on the road. And then North Central is at Erie Mason tonight. Tommy Eitner says, thanks for the love, fellas. Love what you guys do. Yes, number 14.
That is great.
So Tommy did get back up. I know he had a little event at his house after the game. And Tommy, we wish we could have attended, but we had to get back so I could do some work and get Coach Strock in bed to get his beauty rest and get him on the road to Bluffton today for their homecoming festivities.
That's awesome.
But we'll take a rain check on that.
Yes.
Tommy, we'll take a rain check on that.
We're looking for an excuse to get back to Ottawa Lake.
Yes,
Tommy. And I think it's so cool that he responded. And, I can't remember a lot of things in life, Lynn, but I've always remembered numbers. I've always remembered, especially when it was somebody you looked up to. And when you're a freshman and Tommy Eitner's a senior, you didn't have all the social media hype anymore.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you didn't know who a guy was till you played against him or saw him in person.
Right.
And, I just remember going, God, I want to be that good someday, And of course, I never reached that bar. Tommy Eitner was special.
Yeah. Well, Tommy, be careful because Coach Strock on his way out was talking about building a cabin in that woods behind your stadium there and just living back there. And Friday night he can come out and watch some football, and then he can go back into his shack. And
I did. I fantasized about that. I thought when I retire, I want to move there. I don't
even know how to describe the setting there.
It's a slice of heaven. It's a combination of Swanton's setting when they
Yeah.
had all the trees, Liberty Centers when they had
Mhm.
all the trees, times 2.
Right. And it was about 95 degrees when I left my house last night. At Whiteford's Stadium, it was like 55
I
because
know.
it's in the shade
Oh.
and the trees, and it was beautiful, and they take care of their field. Oh,
Oh,
beautiful grass surface there.
it
I
loo-
would urge you to go to a game
Yeah.
at Ottawa Lake, and there was an older couple that had set up
yeah,
5:30, and you said, "I bet they went to every game here for years and years and years." And
40 years. Yeah.
You're probably right.
Yeah. It was
Great community.
oh, great community. It's one of those, you just feel good
Yeah,
going there, and there's no track around the field.
yeah.
So it's really intimate, and with the trees and even the concession stand, even the price board on the concession stand.
Yeah, it's
It-
from about 1982.
Yeah.
Hasn't changed.
No, and I don't think the prices did either. And it's just it's a neat place. And
I'd love to have one of those boards to put up on our studio here. Wouldn't that be nice?
yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
Hang it up somewhere back here behind us.
Glenn he'd find a way to hang it.
Yeah, he would.
We could
Yes.
maybe do that.
Yeah. Yes.
If they ever get rid of that one at Ottawa Lake Whiteford,
yeah, we'll take it.
we'll take it
We'll
and we'll
take it.
preserve it for
Yeah.
you.
Yes, we will. CHSL, Catholic High School League last night. How about Central Catholic? St. John's Jesuit came in on a high. They've been playing really good football for Joe Horn, the first-year head coach there on Airport Highway, and Central Catholic laid it on the Johnnies 42-7, winning their 4th straight. Jeremiah Fuller had 152 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns in the first half to carry the Irish, who are now 4-3, 3-1 in the CHSL. Notre Dame commit Preston Frizel also had a 56-yard touchdown from Ali Baidoun, and Victor Singleton returned a field goal block for a score after he blocked the kick himself. Victor is headed to Texas A&M next year, but Central Catholic, that was impressive. I thought that game was going to be a little bit tighter, and that was over quick.
2 things, Lynn. Number one, the coffee club was talking, and I think it was my dad. One of the guys said to Coach Linger, and man, listening to the St. John's coach before the game, he sounded pretty confident. And Coach Linger said, this is Coach Lingeren's words, not mine. He said, well, you have to before the game, but he knew. and then it's almost like Central Catholic, when people are talking about St. John's closing the gap and St. Francis closing the gap, it's almost like Coach Dempsey and Central Catholic are going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We're still the big boy on the block here.
Yep.
Tap the brakes, and they proved last night they're still in charge.
Tommy Eitner said, you guys are welcome anytime. Coach Strock was a stud. Don't let him fool you.
Tommy, very nice of you. Thank you. I'd like to think so, but
St. Francis last night, they fell to Lumen Christi 14-7. Lumen Christi held off St. Francis with a 451 to 240 edge in total yards. The Titans ran for 249, which is a little bit surprising against the Knights defense. Jaden Houston had the lone touchdown for St. Francis, who is now 4-3 and 1-1 in their division of the CHSL.
Yeah, I mean, I think we thought on paper, I looked at a bunch for our podcast, just trying to compare a bunch of scores. Lumen Christi, who was 2-3 coming in. You think, 2-3, St. Francis will probably beat them. Well, then you look at who they lost to, and then, and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, you know what? That one's going to be close. Not surprised it was a touchdown either way. Wouldn't have been a bit surprised if St. Francis would have won that.
Someone asked how Rocco can play right away. Well, he's cleared from by the MHSAA Athletic Association, so he's good to go.
Yeah.
I don't know all the details, but the Athletic Association up there looked at it and is good to go.
Yeah, and essentially that's the only answer.
Yeah.
And even if some folks will probably want to indict Coach Teakin at Whiteford, here's the bottom line. When you're a head coach, you abide by what the association determines, and
it was, the process was vetted, and they said he is good to play.
Yep.
And adding him to that mix.
Oh boy.
Good luck.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
He's
long
special.
year for Whiteford opponents this season. How about North Baltimore? Closest game they've had since their opening night victory over Bucyrus, which was 36-28. This one last night was 42-12 over Ridgedale, just a 30-point victory, which is their second closest this season. But the Tigers were way too much on the road. Luke Long threw for 231. Brody Walter ran for 145 to send North Baltimore to 7-0 overall, 6-0 in the NWCC, their best start since 1995 for North Baltimore. Where do they stand in the Region 26 standings after that one last night?
Funny you asked, Lynn. I was looking as you were talking there. They are number 2 behind Lima Central Catholic. And then you have Lipsick, Gibsonburg, and Edgerton rounding out the top 5.
You imagine the festivities if North Baltimore is hosting a playoff game, round 2?
No, and
that community is really gotten excited about this Tigers team.
Yep, and rightfully so. I'm excited about them. So I had something profound to say, and then you mentioned the community, and maybe it'll come back to me.
You can blame me for that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it is cool what they're doing. They've got some challenges the next couple weeks, I would say, just based on their opponent records. Ridgemont currently has 4 wins. Crestline has 4, USV 3. North Baltimore is a team. This is what I was going to say. I would really like to see them play. I would really like to see them play because so the question is, are they a team who maybe they go 10-0 and then in their first playoff game they run into, take your pick. They run into, say, Pandora Gilboa, who's still sitting at 7th in that region.
Yeah, full disclosure, North Baltimore's schedule is not Murderer's Row.
It's not.
But they're doing what they should in front of them, and they're rolling, and that's all they can do.
That's all they can do, and which is why I'd like to see them in person. I mean, maybe I could find some film online. Love to see them and maybe kind of see how they stack up against some of these teams. And along with that, they're breeding confidence, man.
Yes, they are.
And it's just great.
Yeah, it's great for that community. And I know from our followers and talking to Coach Bishop, boy, that town is behind them. They're hungry for success on the gridiron, and they are getting it. 8-man action from a night ago in the Northern 8, Holgate 60-6 over Cardinal Stritch. The game was called with 2:36 left in the third quarter, with Holgate holding that 54-point edge. Mateo Gomez threw for 198 yards and half a dozen touchdowns. Brody McMillan caught 6 passes, 126 yards and 2 scores. Wyan Stallnicker added 105 yards rushing and also had 3 scores, but not much of a surprise. It's Cardinal Stritch trying to build that program up. They've had some coaching turnover here in the last couple weeks and battling that.
Where are they at numbers-wise, Lynn?
I heard they had 12 dressed last night, is what I was told, which you can do it with 12, but Cardinal Stritch is going to have to figure out a way to add a few more to that roster, and I don't know what that answer is. But they need to play football to build up their program. I know they're taking it on the chin right now, but I think they need to keep playing. Had a couple years where they didn't play football. Don't know the answers other than that. I think their enrollments has dwindled over the last several years as well, which has affected their football program.
Yeah, and you see that and you wonder what can they do to boost enrollment and things like that. Maybe talk to Rodney Rogers at BGSU, the president there. BGSU's enrollment, it is unbelievable. Every year they set a record. And they're busting out. They can't even park everybody on campus.
I did see that.
So maybe talk to President Rogers.
Let's move it to the MAC last night. Coach, Marion Local, they coasted to their 70th straight win after that close one over Versailles. The Flyers knocked off Fort Recovery on the road 41-7. Flyers posted 184 yards rushing, led by 104 and 3 scores by Camden Eifert, while Brennan Hess was 7-12 passing, 130 yards and 2 scores. Braden Mesher and Cale Nagel had touchdown grabs for the Flyers, who are now, of course, 7-0 and 5-0 in the MAC. The Indians 4-3, 2-3 in the MAC. Managed 164 yards on 41 snaps against that stout Marion Local defense. Fort Recovery scored their first points against Marion Local for the first time since 2020 in that game.
Yeah, not much commentary
No.
on that, Lynn. Marion Local just after being tested a week ago,
Right.
they responded.
Make sense of this one.
Yeah.
Versailles took Marion Local right to the edge a week ago. There was a controversial call that if it would have been the other way, maybe that game would have ended up differently. But Versailles loses 35-7 to Anna last night. Life in the MAC is all you can say.
Life in the MAC, very well said, actually. And I think we talked during the week in our podcast. It'll be interesting to see what that emotional loss, how it affected Versailles. Did they spend everything in the tank? And here's what I'll say. Let's say Versailles would have beaten Marion Local last week, okay, which would have been historic, right? I still think Anna pounds them last night. I really do, because they were emotionally spent, win or lose in that game.
Yeah.
And Anna was lying in wait and didn't just beat them 14-7. I mean, 35-7. That's a stamp.
Yeah. St. Henry, boy, they put a stamp on their victory over Parkway 56-7. I don't have any stats yet from St. Henry from that one, but they rolled over Parkway 56-7 and just waiting on that rematch. Probably St. Henry and Marion Local probably will be in the regional championship, and maybe Walpock will host that. I don't know. It's usually Lima area possibly too for that one. I know we're getting 7 weeks ahead of ourselves here, but it's hard not to look forward to that clash. And I don't see anybody else in that region.
Yeah,
and Region 28 outside of those two. Do you?
I don't, Lynn. And here's why we look forward to those in the modern day is because I know there's some good games from time to time, but there's fewer and fewer good games than there used to be. And if you don't believe me, Tim Beckman, who was our outstanding guest on the KK Collision Coaches Show this week, he talked about that.
Right.
He said back in the day, every week was an absolute battle.
Yep.
And now there are fewer and fewer and fewer hotly contested games because you have the haves and the have-nots. There's very few average teams anymore. It's just you're either dominant or you're not. And St. Henry and Marion Local, that's why we're excited about it, because we don't see either one of them being challenged.
Well, Anna goes to Maria Stein this week, Marion Local at Minster, and then week 10, I know Coldwater isn't having the year that, you know, a Chip Otten team normally has with a couple of losses, but it seemed like Coldwater's playing better here as of late, 42-7 over St. John's. We'll get to that matchup here in a little bit, but Coldwater at Marion Local week 10, maybe some eyes on that one too.
Well, I think always there's eyes on that one. But so, Lynn, in theory, what's that called? The transitive property or whatever. So in theory, okay, Marion Local barely beat Versailles last week, right?
Yep.
Anna rolls Versailles last night. So Anna, as a result, should beat Marion Local. That's how it should be, right?
Yeah. That's the solution you want to use.
I don't dare subscribe to that. In this
I don't
case.
either.
In this case.
Yeah, but Coldwater 2 losses, 14-7. One of those was to Clinton Massey, they're 6-1.
They would beat the snot out of most teams around here. Clinton Massey would.
Yes, yeah. Division 4, Region 16 are the Falcons. Dan McSorley, the coach down there, boy, he's
rugged.
Old school, rugged type dude. But Clinton Massey, 6-1. Coldwater's other loss was to Anna in week number 4, 14-7 too. I don't think you can count Coldwater out of this. They still control their own destiny in the MAC, actually.
Yes, they do.
Because they have Marion Local in week 10.
Look at those 2 losses, though. We know Clinton Massey's rugged. And then Anna, who just beat Versailles 35-7 last night.
Yeah.
Can Anna, you say Anna Marion Locals this week, Lynn?
Yes.
Where's that at? I think you said Maria Stein. I could be wrong.
It is at Marion Local. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that going to be a game? Remember the St. Henry updates we got, and then the Versailles. Is that going to be a game where it's 7-7 at halftime or 14-14? Or is Anna up 14-7? I don't know.
Possibility.
You know how that league goes.
Yeah, possibility. Coldwater's week 1 over Valley View in overtime, 49-48. That's looking pretty good. Valley View has won 6 straight since then.
Jeez.
Their schedule hasn't been hectic. Beat Madison last night 47-0. Beat Oakwood, who was 5-2 a couple weeks ago. Carlisle a month ago, 35-14. And their other victories are not over top foes. But Valley View, Division 4, Region 16, a team that Liberty Center saw a couple years ago in a great regional final.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
They were really good.
Yeah, Matt King, former Defiance College linebacker, coaches Valley View. But Coldwater's resume is pretty good.
It is.
I don't think you can count them out of this MAC championship mix.
I don't think you can. And what's funny is when one of the great MAC teams maybe has a blemish or two, people just say, well, they're not as good this year.
I know. I think we're kind of overlooking Chip Otten and Coldwater. Maybe they like that.
I think they do like that.
Maybe they like that. Before we get to the Coldwater wrap-up, going to wrap up the Minster 27-16 victory over New Bremen. Minster now 4-3, 3-2 in the MAC, scored 13 points in the final quarter and rallied past New Bremen, who's 4-3, 2-3. The Wildcats had a big night rushing with 240 yards, led by 176 and 2 scores from Dominic Meyer. Jacob Kelly posted 132 yards rushing for the Cardinals, and Coldwater 42-7 over Delphus St. John. The Cavaliers had no problem with the winless Blue Jays with a hefty 421-190 edge in total yards. Coldwater ran for 189 and threw for 232. Carson Homan ran for 137 and a touchdown on only 9 keepers while throwing for 232 and 4 scores. Caleb Schroyer hauled in 4 passes for 41 yards, 2 of those for touchdowns. John Pullman had a 65-yard TD grab, and Caden Olbringer, who also had a rushing touchdown, added 2 grabs for 56 yards in the other Homan touchdown toss. And that one is Coldwater picks up the win. NWAL from a night ago, Bryan got the win over Swanton at home, 48-7. Bryan scored the final 41 points to break a 7-7 deadlock. The Golden Bears now 2-5 overall, 1-3 in the league. 408 yards of offense led by Jake Arnold's 101 yards and 1 score from his signal caller position. Jacob Uran had 6 grabs for 107 yards and another Bryan score. Swanton had just 132 yards of offense and -9 yards rushing in that one. Not much of a surprise there as Bryan rolled to a victory over Swanton. This was the good one in the NWL last night was Patrick Henry 21 and Delta 17. Jaden Rutter's 2-yard run with 3:10 left lifted PH past the Panthers, who fall to 4-3. 2-2. Rudder powered the Patriots with 100 yards and 2 scores on 18 totes. Cal Schrader added 60 yards and a score. Kiefer Holloway led the Patriots in receiving 115 yards on 8 grabs. Delta was limited to 105 yards rushing on 34 attempts. Marcus Nagel and Vincent Martinez tallied rushing scores for the Panthers. Kind of thought Delta would have some struggles against this stout PH defense, and kind of did, as Patriots scored just enough offensively to pick up the victory.
What I'll say about that, Lynn, is, you know, Bill Inselman coach teams a lot of times find a way to win. They did. We know PH's defense is good. If you'd have told me going in that Delta was going to end up with 105 yards rushing, I would say that game ends up 35-7, just based on the rushing totals. So what that also tells me is Delta's defense, I know Rudder had 100. He had 100. Okay. That tells me Delta's defense was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think PH racked up more yards against Liberty probably than they did Delta, right?
Yep.
And so give Delta credit.
Right.
But again, Patriots find a way to get it done.
Archbold claimed its 9th straight over Wauseon in dominant fashion for the Lions Club trophy last night at Wauseon, 35-0 streaks. The streaks now 6-1, 4-0, posted 366 yards of offense to 160 for the host Indians. Maddox Penner was efficient, 23 of 29 through the air, 313 yards, 5 scores to pace Archbold. He completed 4 passes to Morgan Harris for 107 yards and 2 scores. Wyatt Garricky, Ryder Ryan, and Aringer Krieger also had receiving scores there. But the beat goes on for Archbold in that matchup with Fulton County rival Wauseon. Boy, they have really taken control of the Lions Club trophy as David Dominic and his crew.
Yeah, you would expect those two communities to go back and forth on that. I don't know if people realize how good Archbold is. And they have that one loss, and you think, well, somebody beat them. Well, it was St. Henry, 27-19, who led Marion Local for a good part of their game with them. Archbold's legit. I'm telling you right now.
Yes.
Who's the Klein kid on defense? Wyatt Klein.
Wyatt, yeah.
They've got some dudes. Archbold and Liberty Center week 10 collision course
at Archbold.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting game to see how it plays out. Archbold's probably the most equipped to play with Liberty Center this season. Now, I'm not saying they're going to beat them,
right,
but most equipped to make it a competitive game, whatever you want to call competitive against Liberty Center. Season is.
I would agree, because I would say on paper Liberty Center and St. Henry would probably be a good matchup, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And Archbold held their water against them. So look at Wauseon Quicklin. They're 0-7. They can get one this week. Okay, they host Bryan. So they got to get that one. Liberty Center week 9. That is what it is.
Yeah.
And then Swanton week 10.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Indians trying to get to 2-8.
Yeah, Wauseon has had some good games offensively. A little disappointed that they had that offensive showing last night with just 160 against the Streak. Speaking of Liberty Center, no problem on the road at Evergreen, 57-7. Evergreen actually tied that game up with a Bryce Bolger to Will Wright's touchdown pass, but it was all Liberty from there, 57-7. Tigers LC set a new NWAL record with its 31st straight league win, surpassing the 30 set by Patrick Henry from 2003 to 2006. LC remains unblemished on the season, piled up 505 yards rushing. Garrison Cruz, 202 of those on 7 carries. 7 carries, 202 yards, scored 3 touchdowns. Thomas Moeller added 2 touchdowns, while Drew Silvius and Baxter Barrett also found the end zone. Evergreen was held to 26 yards rushing and threw for 203, but expected that. That was kind of how that one figured would play out. And geez,
yeah, and it's kind of like we talked about Whiteford's running backs last night and the chunks they tear off. Garrison Cruz, and what kind of stinks sometimes for those guys. We've talked about it. They get limited carries.
Yeah, if they get 7, you're lucky.
I know.
There's been nights where they've gotten 5 or 6.
I know. And so just imagine the gaudy numbers they'd put up if they got more touches. But you might get a few yards on Liberty through the air if the quarterback gets it out quick. And but you're not going to do it consistently. And
no, you're not.
Not going to run on them.
NBC from a night ago. Impressive win for Sam Cotterman and Eastwood at home. 42-6 over Oak Harbor. The Ludhart brothers had another big night for Eastwood, which set up a big conference showdown at Genoa next Friday night. Drew Ludhart was 17-22, 268 yards and 3 scores in his second start, returning from his preseason injury. He connected with little brother Braden 7 times, 136 yards, 2 scores. Cam Shoemaker also caught a touchdown pass. Oak Harbor had just 28 yards passing, and they needed 36 rushes to get 117 on the ground. Edmund Upfer also had a pick 6 for Eastwood, who is now 6-1 and 4-0 in the NBC, but they will go to Genoa, who picked up a 42-14 victory over Rossford last night. Genoa also 4-0 in the NBC, won its 6th straight, and will be at home with Eastwood coming up on Friday night in a huge NBC showdown that will essentially be for the NBC championship. I know it's just week 8 and there'll be a couple more to play, but that one will decide who wins the conference.
What can you say about Eastwood, man? They are trending in the right direction. Just that one blemish, obviously, against Liberty Center. And so Big points at stake this week, too. Eastwood sitting in the 7 spot of Division 5 Region 18. That's Liberty Center's region. Genoa sitting at 2, right behind Liberty Center.
Okay. Winner will probably end up with a bye.
Winner will probably end up with a bye. That's a big point game right there.
Huge game. Jay Brown asked where we were going to broadcast. Possibly is a matchup that we could see at Genoa here in week 8. With some other options. We'll figure that out as the weekend progresses. Rounding out the NBC at Otsego 28-18 over Lake. Ended a 4-game skid. Did the Knights with that one behind 354 yards rushing against the Flyers. Chris Kazmaier paced Otsego with 153 yards on the ground on 18 carries, while Keegan Hutton found the end zone 3 times on 7 totes and had 89 yards. Lake threw for 247 yards behind KJ Majors, and Julian Rodriguez caught 7 passes for 130 yards and a score in that one. And Maumee spanked Fostoria 70-20 as the Panthers put up 70 on Fostoria. Maumee now 4-3, 3-1, and the NBC throttled the Redmen with an offensive explosion led by 3 rushing scores from Cohen Jones, who had 130 yards on 13 totes. Travis Garrett added 2 scores rushing, and Chris Rivera had 1. Ben Kubitz was 9 of 11 passing, 139 yards, 3 scores. Eli Dodson, Brock Hurd, Braden Lynn, and Cleishon Anderson had receiving touchdowns as Maumee put up a ton of points and a ton of yards, and no surprise there over the winless Redmen on this season. Don't need much analysis on that one, probably.
No, we don't. The only thing I'll say about Otsego, they're sitting at 13th in Division 5 Region 18. 13th, and they have really 1-point game left. It's this week against Maumee. They're going to need to win that one and then win out over 2 games where they'll be favorites, Rossford and Fostoria. But they have Maumee at home. That's going to be a good, close game. Mm-hmm. If Otsego could get that one, mm-hmm. they'd have a chance to sneak in the 12 or 11 spot, possibly.
One of the few remaining unbeaten teams in our coverage area is Liberty Benton, and they stayed that way with a 42-9 victory at Pandora Gilboa last night. Liberty Benton now 7-0, 5-0 in the BVC. They were dominant against the Rockets. Connor Barber was 15 of 18 passing, 277 yards, 3 touchdowns. He hit Seth Elkert on 7 completions, 112 yards, and 2 scores. Carson Griffin also hauled in a touchdown pass. Zach Elkert and Barbara also found pay dirt on runs. Pandora Gilboa was pushed back for negative 17 yards rushing on 24 attempts while throwing for 177. No surprise there is that Liberty Benton front is, they are nasty up there. Leipzig with a nice win at Macomb, 32-14, pulled away from the Panthers with an 18-7 edge in the second half to stay perfect on the season at 7-0 and 5-0 in the BVC. Mark Kirkendall, 14-22. He had 329 yards passing, 4 scores for the Vikings. Marquise Williams caught 3 of those for 165 yards. 2 went for touchdowns, and Aaron Hazelton added 79 yards rushing and a score. And the other BVC game from a night ago that we cover is Arlington 42, Elmwood 12. No stats to report from that one, but Liberty Benton and Leipzig on a collision course. Is that one in 2 weeks, or is that this week? That might be this week at Liberty Benton, actually.
It's funny you use the term collision course. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's this week. Liberty Benton is at home against Leipzig, both 7-0. Here's what's crazy about that. When you think 7-0, 7-0, mm-hmm. We'll get into it on the podcast, but I've got an idea of what that one may look like.
Yeah. And that's going to take a heroic effort from the Vikings.
Yeah.
To pull that one off.
Yes, it will. And, it's funny. We talk about some programs are really involved with social media, and some aren't. We know Leipzig isn't. And I'm just really interested in the numbers Mark Kirkendall is mm-hmm. putting up there at Leipzig. Yep. And so I did as much digging as I could do last Sunday, just trying to find some highlights and some video and some things. Can't find anything.
No. Leipzig info is hard to find.
It
A
is
lot like the MAC programs. Not a lot of social media hype from Leipzig.
No, I mean they're
Just
just
go about their business.
about their business,
Yeah.
and so I respect that
Yeah.
out of the Vikings.
Joe Kirkendall, kind of a throwback country boy.
Oh yeah, he's a country boy. He used to wear a cowboy hat. He'd go to a high school volleyball game and wear a cowboy hat. He's a country boy.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. Yep.
I love how they handle that.
Round out Rise and Rewind this week with the Green Meadows Conference from last night. Fairview 38-6 over Antwerp. The Apaches bounced back from their first loss of the season in convincing fashion over the Archers. The Apaches now 6-1, 3-1. They were limited to just 232 yards of total offense against the Archers, while Antwerp managed just 148. It's kind of a ho-hum night for Fairview. You're used to them putting up at least 400, and they didn't even get to 250. Logan Olinger caught 2 touchdowns in the win. Kellen Beals and Olinger also had rushing scores. Gage Mullins returned a fumble, 72 yards for Fairview's second score of the night, but the Apaches rolled at home. No surprise there. The one that we were keeping our eyes on the most was the one at Edgerton, where Paulding picked up a 35-28 victory, held off Edgerton to stay unblemished on the season. They had a pretty good lead in that one. Was it 14-0 or 21-7? I think we heard from our game up at Whiteford last night. Avery Cooper had a big night for the Panthers, 91 yards rushing and 3 scores, while Blake Roanhouse caught 2 passes for 51 yards, had 1 receiving score. Colt Hunt, 166 yards passing, also scored on a keeper for the Panthers. Maddox Baker fired 3 touchdown passes and also scored a rushing touchdown for the Bulldogs. Parker Eldon had 2 of the receiving scores, and Kellen Sanchez had the other for Edgerton. But Paulding moves to 7-0 and keep their perfect season going, their first one since 1988. Who do the Panthers round out their regular season with here?
Yeah, so Paulding has Hicksville at home this week, at Tenora week 9, home with Antwerp week 10. And looking at Paulding in the playoff picture, Lynn, they're in that region, Division 6, Region 22, with Bluffton, with Archbold, Patrick Henry, Fairview. And I see the number 1 team, they're number 1 every year in this region, is Hopewell Loudon.
They lost last night, I think.
Yes, I was going to say they never, ever, ever lose in the regular season.
Yeah, and I think they had I think it was a 39-game regular season winning streak.
I totally believe it. I didn't know that, but I believe it. They never lose in the regular season. I'm serious. Hardly ever. Got beat by Margaretta last night, 29-26.
Who's your favorite in Region 22 as you see it right now? And I know we haven't seen Bluffton this season.
On paper, off the top of my head, Archbold.
Okay, I was going to say that too.
Okay, yep. And then the Patriots are in there. No disrespect. We know Fairview's tough, and Bluffton, Archbold, if I had to answer it right now.
Okay. All right. 2 games to recap yet to round out Rise and Rewind. Tenora 10-7 over Wayne Trace. Talked about this one in the beginning of our show. Tenora now 3-4, 3-1 in the GMC. Control their GMC fate with Paulding coming to town.
Yeah.
Right.
They do. They do. I don't know if this is the same Tenora resolve we saw a year ago this season, and that's nothing against players. It just has a different feel to me from the outside looking in, and just seems to be a little more of a struggle. And I think Tenora is going to have their hands full at Ayersville this week.
I think they will too. I agree.
Tenora
beat Wayne Trace 3-0 in overtime a year ago. Jacob Bishop with the field goal in that one. Parker Hancock booted a 31-yarder in the third stanza for Tenora last night, was kind of the difference in that one. Tenora mustered only 123 yards in the win, while Wayne Trace had 191. Cooper Replogle did not play for Tenora, which is a big loss for them in that running game. He had negative 29 yards rushing, did Tenora. And that was Wayne Trace.
And that was a team we saw get some chunk yardage at Fairview.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So give Wayne Trace credit.
Yeah. Owen Reynolds led the Rams, 73 yards receiving on 4 catches from Owen Farrell. Lance Whitman found the end zone for Wayne Trace's lone points on a short 3-yard plunge. Boy, you just see these Wayne Trace scores from the last 2, 3, 4 years. And how many times have they lost a game like this? 1 possession. They just can't figure out how to get over the hump, and you would think the ball would bounce the right way or something for them. They're just jinxed, it seems like, in these close games.
They are. You need more than two hands to count the number of games like this. I mean, this goes back, like you said, they had a game with Patrick Henry 4 years ago ish, 3-4 years ago, where it was like this.
Right.
They've been right there on the cusp.
Yeah.
And it tells me they've got the pieces.
Yeah, they win the games that they should win, and then the games that are kind of iffy for them, it's just
I know
it's there, and
I know
they can't quite get enough offense. And I'd be curious talking to Matt Holden. I know he's not going to tell us because he didn't want it out there.
Yeah.
But what is he doing to slow down Tenora?
Yeah,
Tenora just struggles to move the ball against this Wayne Trace defense.
It's almost like he just takes out the game plan from the year before and goes, "Here's the scouting report."
Yeah, it's amazing. Ayersville, they picked up their first win of the season, 28-6 over Hicksville on the road last night. Pilots had dropped 9 straight dating back to that victory over the Aces at Craig McCord Field a year ago. That was the game where they were celebrating 50 years of football, and Coach Mickey busted out the wing tee and rallied. I think it was 19-0 Hicksville maybe in that game, and it ended up 2019 Ayersville. Eli Berner racked up 203 yards and 2 trips to pay dirt, 28 carries for the Pilots. Colin Level had 62 yards rushing and 68 receiving in the loss for the Aces, while tallying their lone score. That Ayersville-Tenora game is going to be interesting.
I think so too.
This week, Ayersville, I know, is 1-6, but they're better than that record. They played a hellacious schedule to start the season, but the Pilots, if they would have played maybe some gimmies in the non-conference and have 4 wins right now, I think they're a playoff team. I think they're one of the top 12 teams, but they just
They are.
They played just a killer schedule to start off the season.
I mean, how about this? Delta to open the season. We know Delta's legit. 6-1 Patrick Henry, 6-1 Sycamore Mohawk. And then they're getting into the league, but 6-1 Fairview, 7-0 Paulding.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
Yeah.
And they battled Edgerton. They won last night. Tenora, Antwerp, Wayne Trace. And
they really close with Paulding a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks ago.
3 points.
3 points. And I don't know that they had figured out their offense the first month or so of the season at Ayersville, but they figured it out now. They have some good receivers. Eli Berner is a stud. He's one of the top backs in the GMC and in this area. And
I would like to talk to Coach Mickey because he's a good friend of ours, and he shoots straight. Why it took longer to figure out the offense. Trust me, I've lived that.
Yeah, it kind of was half the season a year ago before they said, wing T. And if you think back a couple of years ago when they had Delano and Knieven in the backfield, PK. It was that Antwerp game where they said, all right, we're just going to put them both in the backfield and play bully ball.
Yep, and they did.
It's always about half the season they figure out the offense, and then they're a tough out.
They are, and I would love to have that conversation with Coach Mickey because, again, if you've coached and covered football, you get it. It happens. Sometimes it takes time to get the pieces together, and so I'd like to get Coach Mickey's input on that. But they're going to be tough this week.
Yep. That rounds out the Week 7 slate of games. We're going to head into Week 8. Monday night is our podcast. This week we will have your former foe, Pat Gachardo Jr., as our guest picker on this week's upcoming podcast. And then Monday night's football show, special presentation of our football show. Going to have some Columbus Grove military guys with us, including Justin LeHue, who was on the Jocko Wilnick podcast. If you get on YouTube and look it up, oh my goodness, you'll have goosebumps. We may need more than a couple hours with the group coming on Monday night from Columbus Grove. Looking forward to that. That will be special.
I will just say this: Monday night, American Freedom Energy Grandma's General Store will be the safest haven in Northwest Ohio on that evening.
Yeah,
I will feel pretty secure.
A couple of the guys, we're going to have them on video because they can't make the trip. But these dudes are bad.
Yeah,
these dudes are bad.
Yeah, different kind of bad.
Yeah,
real life. Real life bad.
Yeah, total heroes, and can't thank Andy Shaver. He's worked on this for a few months, getting these guys lined up, and we're looking forward to visiting with them. We got to get you off to Bluffton. Put on the sunscreen and hydrate. I don't want you passing out down there. I don't want Phil Talavania have to take care of you today.
I'm looking forward to it. Homecoming should be a big crowd. Beavers have a chance to get to 3-1, which would be the first time in a long time. I think they've been 3-1, to be honest with you. Their out of conference schedule is always usually pretty tough, and they could be 3-0. But one thing I think is interesting today, Lynn, before we go, I think this is interesting. Those bookmakers, for the people out there who gamble, Iowa State at Cincinnati. Iowa State's number 14 in the country. Cincinnati's unranked. And Cincinnati's a money line favorite in that game. And so you go, you know what? Iowa State's not going to go lose at Cincinnati. But I'm telling you, those guys know what they're doing. And I'm looking at this going, there's no way Cincinnati beats Iowa State today. No way. But you watch. There's going to be a bunch of people thinking the same thing. They're going to bet on Iowa State, and you're going to see the fourth quarter score, and Cincinnati's going to be up a touchdown. Watch and see.
Who do you got in Alabama and Vanderbilt in a little revenge game in Tuscaloosa against Diego Pavia and the Commodores coming in? He likes to talk some smack, and now he has to go to Tuscaloosa. You know they'll be ready to welcome him in there, and he'll be lathered up, I'm sure.
And I hope they absolutely let him have it. I hope everybody does. I can't say how I feel in depth about him, but give me Bama.
Big?
They're going to roll, and I'm telling you, they're going to rub their noses in it, and I'm here for it. I never thought I'd ever say this, but I am a Crimson Tide fan. Run it up, foot on the gas, pour it on. Give me Bama all day.
Who do you like in Miami at Florida State tonight? I think that's the 7:38 game.
In that one, Lynn, I like Florida State.
I do too. I think they're going to upset the Hurricanes at home.
I do too.
Florida State coming off of that loss to Virginia, right?
Yep. The atmosphere is going to be electric. And, boy, intrastate rivalry right there. I like Florida State at home. Although Miami's a little better than I thought.
Any other college football games stick out today? Your Tigers are in action tonight in Seattle.
They are. I see Scooble's not pitching tonight.
Okay. Is he pitching tomorrow?
I got to believe he is. I haven't seen the matchups yet, but got to believe it. Tigers, not many people giving him a chance at Seattle. When Scooble pitches, they will, but tonight and so forth, they're not. But Tigers have a little confidence. I know they hit a rough stretch there towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
They have a chance. I think this offense could get cranking, as evidenced by the 7th inning the other day against Cleveland. I know that's just one inning, but
right.
They've got it in them. So I think they can do it.
Who do you like in the other division series? Cubs, Brewers, Dodgers, and it's eluding me right now.
Yep. I just looked at this morning, Lynn, before I came in. I like the Dodgers. I don't care who they play. Yankees.
I'll tell you, sorry, the internet here
who the Yankees
slow
have
today.
Blue Jays. Even though the Blue Jays are really good, I think a lot of people like them. How do you bet against the Yankees in the postseason? I have trouble doing that. Brew Crew and Cubs, I think.
Oh, Dodgers, Phillies. You sure?
Ooh, yeah.
Dodgers at Phillies.
Yeah.
Phillies have home field. I like the Phillies.
Do you?
I like Tigers, Phillies, Yankees, Brew Crew.
You think the Tigers can get it done?
Yep, I think they
in
do.
That series against.
I think they do. Yep.
Okay, that makes me feel good.
They have Melton pitching today.
Yes, that's right.
That ERA can't be right. 108. That's not right. There's got to be something goofy going on. Well, the internet, as we know, has been a little bit goofy here today. I don't think that's correct, but.
Yeah, I'm excited. Great sports weekend.
Yeah, it is.
I'd mix a little
baseball and get this hot weather out of the way,
Yeah.
though. I'm tired of the hot weather, though. I could go without that.
God, I'm gonna be roasting today. I was hoping it was overcast out there. It ain't going to be.
It's going to be bright out there.
Yeah.
Coach, have a great day down at
Thank you.
Bluffton. We will see you Monday night with our podcast. Thank you to all of our listeners. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you again on Monday night.